Welcome to the Gyms Podcast. I'm your host, Joel Kleber, and this podcast is designed to share stories of our franchisees, franchisors, Jim himself, and other members of the Gyms family that we think you might find interesting. If you are researching our brand, we've got a previous back catalogue. There's so many great episodes that you can find online. And if you do like what you hear, please make sure you leave us a thumbs up on YouTube if you're watching, or online as well. We really do appreciate the support. Without further ado, here's today's episode. So joining us today on the Gyms Podcast is Jade, and you're from Gyms Dog Wash. Is it Menai or Menai? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Menai.
Menai, and you're based in New South Wales, and you're a staff franchisee, and you've got a really great story and setup, which we're going to get into today. But first of all, present you with the Silver Accor membership, which is for being a great franchisee, and you get 2 free nights at any Accor hotel around the world and a bunch of discounts on drinks and dining as well. So that's on behalf of Gyms Group for being a great member of the Gyms family. So first off, Jade, let's start off with a little bit about yourself and what were you doing prior to Gyms Dog Wash?
So a little bit of everything, really. I've always generally been customer service, sales, that kind of thing. Immediately before this, I was working for Toyota, so selling cars, that kind of thing. Yeah, so I kind of fell into that just while I was thinking about this. I was a little bit unsure because I've always tended to be behind the scenes with sales, not sort of customer focused or customer forward facing, I would say. So I just wanted to make sure that it was for me and it was something that I could do effectively. And so I thought, what's the hardest sales gig I could get? And selling cars just popped up. So luckily for me, it turned out I was pretty good at it. So yeah, I did that for about 12 months and then decided to jump ship and do dog wash.
Yeah, with Dog Wash, Jade, how did you stumble across that and what made you decide you wanted to do it?
Well, I have 2 dogs that require regular grooming. Well, I had one actually when I first started looking into it and was struggling to get appointments, which is the general consensus, I think, with people that have dogs that require grooming. So I just kind of thought, well, obviously there's a bit of a need in the market for groomers. And I sort of just jumped on Google really and just, how do I become a dog groomer? Gym popped up and I sent an inquiry through and Susie, my franchisor, got back to me and we had a few chats around that. It was right at the beginning of COVID. So I was ready to kind of start, or I had contracts and things, but actually sort of pulled out at the last minute. We just didn't really know what was going on at that time. And I don't know, was a little bit gun shy, I suppose, to pull the trigger and do it right at that moment. So I actually stayed at my place of employment for another 12 months, but still kind of kept in contact with Susie. And yeah, 12 months later, it was still a huge need in the market because obviously a lot of the salons weren't able to continue operating. And it was just increasingly difficult to get your dogs looked after. So yeah, it was 12 months after that I started, and it was just crazy. I think a week or 2 after my training had finished, we went into lockdown again, but we were able to continue working because we were contactless. So I know that wasn't the case for everyone, but it was the case in New South Wales. So I was super lucky that I was able to keep working all the way through lockdown and everything like that at that time.
Yeah, so that's great that you were able to do that, and you've been able to build a really significant business quite quickly, Jade. Do you want to talk about where you are at the moment and what sort of setup you've got?
Yeah, so just before my 12-month anniversary, I brought on another groomer, another subcontractor, Erin, who works with me. And she just really hit the ground running. Like I was so busy at that time. Yeah, she didn't skip a beat. So she came from property management, was looking for something different, had just kind of had enough of what she was doing. Loved dogs. She was actually a customer of mine. That's how I met her. Yeah, both of us just really hit the ground running. It was amazing. And then I would say probably 6 months after that, one of the salons came up for sale in my territory, and I had kind of kept in contact with the owner of that salon. She groomed my dog, and when she noticed my advertising, she contacted me early and said, can I send you my overflow of customers that I can't service? And of course, why would I knock that back? And we kind of kept in contact that way. And she was ready to sell, and I just thought, why not? Like, literally staying in the middle of my territory. It was set up, ready to go. It had a really good reputation, a good customer base. I had a good customer base in the area. So that's kind of how that happened, which is what I'm doing now. So I have my salon and Aaron is still mobile in my territory. And 6 months ago, or what are we now? Yeah, so January this year, I brought on another subcontractor who works down at Helensburgh. So that's Belinda, who again just hit the ground running. There was such a need down the coast, and yeah, she's killing it as well. She's loving it. So now there's a team of 5 of us. So I've got 3 of us in the salon and 2 mobile groomers.
That's great. Now, I've done a lot of these interviews with Jim's Dog Wash franchisees, and we sort of hit on the point about mobile over salon. So maybe you want to talk from your perspective about being a salon owner and also you own the mobile dog wash side. Do you want to talk about the benefits between and the cons maybe, or the differences between both for customers?
I hate the comparison between salon and mobile. I think they both have their merits and they both have their place. Obviously, being in a salon, we're a little bit more flexible around what we can do with the customers and with the dogs, and we can fit more people in. So there's more appointment availability because we're not having to travel in between appointments. The customers are coming to us. I also run my salon a little bit differently. So I still have adopted 1 appointment at a time policy. So I don't have too many dogs in the salon at the same time. I don't have cages or anything like that. So I really focus on each dog specifically while they're here for their appointments. And I know a lot of my customers really like that. They've had different experiences at other places where there have been, more than 1 appointment in the salon at any one time. And sometimes their dogs just don't cope well with that. So we have a little bit more flexibility in here. Also able to cater to large dogs and senior dogs and things like that, because I actually have a shower downstairs. So we're not having to lift them or anything like that. They can literally just walk in and walk out. So that we've really used to our benefit as well.
Thanks for pointing that out. Because I know Susie messaged me after I did a few interviews, because we put a few clips online about it, and I've got to be conscious of that because I do know yourself, and there's some other people I'm sure who have the site-based salons as well in their business. So thanks for pointing that out.
Well, I think it's new to gyms, I think.
It is. It's not something we traditionally do. So it's 100%. We're slowly seeing it with like laundry services, for example, where some of the franchisees are getting laundry mats and stuff. You obviously, I think you're the first maybe in dog wash who's done this. So
yeah, it's no better, no worse. It's just an evolution, I think, for groomers sometimes.
I think the great benefit as well is driving the trailer can be daunting sometimes, and it can be, if you're a groomer, you got to get from one to the other. It can be frustrated sometimes in traffic or whatever, whereas having the salon like you do, you don't have that problem. So I think that from maybe other franchisees want to look at it. Maybe what would you then say that maybe other franchisees may be looking to do what you've done? Because I think you're the first in the division who's done this. So what advice would you say to other people looking to do the same thing?
I'd definitely say do your homework. Obviously, there's a lot more overhead and cost involved having a premises rather than having a trailer. So you have to kind of make sure that you're ready for that. Your business can sustain that. Also, I sort of thought I had pretty good stamina when it comes to washing dogs and grooming dogs and that kind of thing. But it's a whole different ball game coming into a salon. You don't get that break in between jobs, driving to the next one and, having something to eat or, anything like that. If you're running late, the next dog's knocking on the door ready to go. So it took me a little while, I think, to get that going again. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's really nice to have the shop and the customers, they like having somewhere to come and chat and, all that kind of thing. And it's also nice to have other groomers in here with me as well. It can be a little bit isolating or a bit lonely sometimes in the trailer by yourself. And it's nice having the other girls in here on the days that they work and we can bounce off each other and we can sort of help each other and, do all different things. So that definitely is a benefit as well.
I was going to say as well, what's your plan then? Are you looking to, because you've obviously got a lot of work on, because I looked at the leads before in regards to, you pretty much turned off leads obviously very quickly, I presume, in the piece. You got a perfect 5-star rating. So you haven't been taking leads from gyms for a while, from what I can maybe tell in the system. So
yeah, I was very early on was focused on building my business and generating my own work. I don't know if you want to include this in your soundbite, but I didn't want to have to pay for leads.
That's all right. It's a fair point. That's fine. We'll include it.
Well, it's just, yeah. Well, it's just, it's an additional cost to your business. And I felt like it was something that I could do myself, which I have done.
But that's the key difference is the initiative you've taken for that. And that's the key difference, whereas people might not have the same initiative or skills that you did. Because being in car sales can be it's a pretty tough gig being in car sales. So if you're able to do that and you're able to generate your own work, as you said, to save yourself costs, that is a good route to go if you can do it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So, leads are great, and they're great when you're first starting and getting your name out there and everything like that. But it's generally not something you want to have an ongoing cost to your business. So, I just, really wanted to build my brand, and I have 2 older kids that I employed to help me learn how to use Instagram and TikTok, and kind of be much to their dismay. But and I'm in no way any kind of social media expert, so please don't think that. It's very basic, but it's enough to kind of just have the awareness in the community that we're here and what we do and how we do it and that kind of thing. So my biggest thing is really just, obviously treating the animals well and working with the customers to, achieve what they want. So that was more what I wanted to show. And I think that has really worked. So I kind of think like, a cute little photo or a cute little video or something is really, it's part of the service. It's part of the package. So I think I had this conversation with a couple of people the other day. I don't do it to generate business. I do it as part of a service to the customer that I've got already. They just really like the little photos like we do. I do little Christmas photos and all that kind of thing. And that's what they really like. Yeah, it's more about servicing the customer they have rather than doing it specifically to generate business. So
it's smart because they want to share it with their friends and say, look at this, or she's just being groomed, or he's just being groomed, look at this, and send it to their friends. And you do a great job. I obviously follow all the franchisees on social media, and you do a consistently really good job with it as well. And that's a great point about leads. I'm glad we've had this discussion because it's a good one because, most people, franchisors might not like hearing it, but the job is to get you busy with repeat customers, especially repeat one like dog wash or mowing or cleaning, to get you guys as busy so you don't need to take leads, right? That's a good sign of the system. And it's also a good reflection on your own work. If you have to come back for leads, let's say after 3 or 4 years, you don't have a regular customer base, there's something obviously wrong with the service and what you're providing. So to be able to get off leads so quick is a credit to yourself, and obviously, what you've been able to do with your training and all that sort of stuff. It's a reflection on yourself, and it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing at all, even though it might hurt the franchisors in pocket a bit with the missed out lead piece, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So
and it's good to be able to, so the girls that I employ as well have never paid for leads. I work really hard with them to make sure that they're building their business and they know how to do the same thing. Because it's not hard. Like it's just, like you said, it's more just, I suppose, time consuming, like, something you have to do at the end of the day, or you have to get the content to be able to edit and post. So it is an extra step, but I think it's definitely beneficial. So it's something that I kind of instill into the people that work with me as well.
You got the best division for it. Dog wash is the best.
Absolutely.
It's the best division for it. So it's not hard. Just take a picture at the end and post it and tag the customer or send to the customer.
You'd be surprised though. It's not always easy to get they're not absolutely key sometimes to sit there for their photo or their video.
Yes.
So, yeah, you'd be surprised.
No, for sure. No, you do a great job of it, and it's really good advice about that. So how did you, maybe do you want to go into a bit more specifics about how did you go about generating your own work? Obviously, social media element to it, but was there any other ways you went about generating work?
Not really. I think it was a blessing. COVID really was a blessing and a curse for me personally. Obviously, it was tough during lockdown. You know, I had kids at home, homeschooling, but all the salons in the area weren't able to open. And a lot of the mobile groomers that were servicing our area either stopped working or were in an LGA that were locked down. So they couldn't travel into my area. So I think I was one of only a very few that were still operating at that time. So I really had a unique opportunity to kind of get out there and service the community and sort of get those customers quite early. So I think, yeah, a bit of a blessing and a curse in that respect. Because I really was surrounded by LGAs that were locked down. So my particular area wasn't, but like the Georges River Council was closed, Liverpool Council was closed, like everyone surrounding us were locked down. So, yeah, I was really able to really hone in. I think my franchisor says to me all the time, I'm one of the only ones that really only work in my territory as well. Even when I was mobile, I really didn't travel outside my postcode.
Well, so, I think again, it goes back to the quality of your work though, Jade, and obviously your customer service is really so good that you're getting that referral work. You're getting people talking about you and sharing it to their friends and family, which is fantastic. If you weren't doing a great job, I don't think you would be in that position where you are. So it's more credit to you. Obviously, there's maybe a bit of luck with that involved at the start, but I think it's all credit to yourself, really.
Thank you.
And how was the training then back in the day? So back when you did the training, you know, coming from a completely unrelated field to what you were doing, how long did it take you to feel as though you were competent at what you were doing, or how was those first couple of weeks like when you were out on the road?
It's daunting. Like you get your 2 weeks of training, and then you're sort of out on your own. I did have a little bit of training at various times booked in. Like there were groomers that were to come out with me, but again, with COVID, it just never happened. So I didn't actually see anyone or meet anyone other than my franchisor for the first 12 months. We didn't have meetings or anything like that. Nothing was happening. So it was a little bit trial by fire. So I think, and I would say this is probably the same in any division, unless you have a background in that particular industry, you have to have a bit of initiative and you have to have that motivation to just give it a go and sometimes just find other ways of learning and find other ways of building that education up for yourself. It's not always just relying on what gyms provide. Sorry, I could think my next customer is here.
That's why we got there. Who we got?
Hi, Eddie. This is Eddie.
And what type of breed is Eddie?
He's a cavoodle and looks like he hasn't been groomed in quite a while. So he's probably going to be a shortcut today.
Now, there's lots of cavoodles, I presume, come across into your salon now. So, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Every second dog is some kind of oodle. Oh, he's going to stay. Okay. Yeah, every second dog is some kind of oodle at this time. I have 2 broodals, so I can't complain. But yeah, it keeps our business going.
with the oodle type dog breeds, is there any sort of thing for customers they should know about them? Because I know that speaking to a few dog wash franchisees, that the fur is a bit interesting. It's hard if customers don't maintain it between grooms. It might mean you have to do a cut that they might not want because they haven't maintained it all.
Yes, that is. I think sometimes with oodles, they are sold as low maintenance or, something like that, which is incredibly misleading. Anyone who owns an oodle or a dog that needs to be clipped will tell you that, brushing is so important, regular grooming, coming into your groomers, chatting with your groomers, learning how to maintain their coats. Depending on their coats, like there's specific ways you should be brushing, specific tools you need to be using. I always do like to send customers little videos or things that I find online. I've got a really good one now of how to do like line brushing and things like that. And they love to watch things like that. So I do share a lot of things like that on my social media as well. So I guess educating yourself on the type of or the breed of dog that you have is really important. Any one of us would be happy to chat to you and tell you what the best way to look after your pet is. But ultimately, I think it definitely comes down to regular bookings with your groomer. I think it is the best way to do it. I mean, we all know it gets difficult. I don't have time to brush my dog sometimes, but definitely just getting that regular booking. Because the problem is that if you don't set that booking in with your groomer, 99 times out of 100, you're going to miss out, and then you're going to have to wait, and then you're going to get into trouble. So
now did you think you'd been in this position when you started the business a couple of years ago?
What, in the salon or just?
Yeah, just in general where you are, because you've achieved a lot in a short amount of time. Like it's not overly long to be able to do what you've done. It's not really that common. Sometimes it might take a bit longer for franchisees to might build that out to where they've done, whereas you've gone right into a salon and got employees and stuff within a short amount of time.
I think my original motivation was just to do something different. I wasn't overly happy with what I was doing. I've always wanted to run my own business or start a business, but I wasn't really sure what. And I think it was my own dogs that kind of inspired me to do something like this. But yeah, I don't think it was ever my intention to have a shop and have employees and do all of that. It really was just trying to make my own little business successful. But I think when I talk to the people that do work with me, Erin, Belinda, we all have a very similar story. We were just looking for something different, and we all love dogs. So I think sometimes it's a bit right place, right time, which I think it definitely was for all three of us. So yeah, I think it's cool to know that if you want to just be on your own and do your own thing and grow your own little business, you can do that. But if you do have the motivation and the intention to make it something bigger, you definitely can as well. It's been interesting. I know that Jim's had a few opportunities at various times to do a salon. It just never ended up working out. So I know they were really excited about this. So, and I think now we have a couple more. I know there's one in Melbourne, and I think there was someone else in Queensland looking to do one as well. And yeah, the lady in Queensland has called me a couple of times, and we've just had a few chats about how it all works and what to look for and, you know, all of those things. So it's nice to be able to share experiences and that kind of thing as well. So yeah.
Give confidence as well to other pet franchisees if they do want to do it. You know, it's possible to do it. So it's good confidence to see you as a case study as well. But I was going to say, Jody, are you also happy with financially what you've been doing? You don't have to say how much you're making, but are you happy with what you're making in your business and how that's all been from that side?
You know, I think what we was sort of told to us in the beginning, like when you're looking to start your business and what the potential of your business, I think it's pretty accurate. I don't think it's generally difficult to be successful in dog grooming. There's definitely a need, like whether it's a salon or mobile services or, you know, whatever, there's definitely plenty of customers out there. So I don't think there's any misconception about that. Like I said, obviously with salons, it's a different kettle of fish, really, because you do have more overhead and things to think about. So again, if anyone's ever asked me about it, that's definitely the one thing I tell them to consider. But again, I'm lucky because I also have the other girls that work with me, and we all have that common goal to make sure that, you know, Jim's Dog Wash and I doing well and, you know, has a good reputation in the community and all that kind of thing. So I think having good people around you definitely makes that easier as well.
And what's you as good customer service, Jade? Because you've been able to build a business so quickly based on your customer service. So do you want to just outline for people when they use you or one of your team, what can they expect?
I think we're definitely not shy of having a chat. definitely during COVID, that was a big thing because I might be the only person that those people had seen for weeks. So when I was going around mobile, that was definitely part of it, just chatting with people. I think just sharing our experiences and our knowledge of, looking after dogs and what we learn and how we can work together. I think that's also maybe a little a bit of a misconception. Like it's not completely up to your groomer to look after your dog, and it's not completely up to the owners. It's a partnership. So you both need to be doing various things, and that's going to keep your dog happy and healthy. So just having a really good chat with your customers early about how they can help you and how you can help them, I think is really important. So I do often find myself having big sort of talks with customers around if we want this kind of groom, what the expectation is that they will have to do in between times, or, maybe having to see the dog more regularly, or, whatever the case may be. So I think it's just really giving the customer a solid expectation of what can be achieved. And the other side of that, so this little one here, so I had his, what did she say, grandfather, or I don't know, his sibling in yesterday who was really, really matted. He'd had a skin infection and they had been rubbing creams and various things into this coat for quite a number of weeks. So he was really matted, and, just being upfront and honest that there is no other option. Like, we just have to shave your dog, unfortunately. So not giving them any, preconceived ideas that we could save that coat. It wouldn't be fair to the dog or the customer. And I think this little one here might be a little bit similar. So he's already feeling a little bit thick and a little bit matted. So I just said to her then, going to be short. And she's like, yeah, no worries. Like, that's the expectation. So I think that's being upfront, honest, and setting the expectation is 100% the best thing you can do with your customers.
Yeah, I've asked this question to everyone, but do you have any particular type of favorite breeds that you like working on, or any types of dogs in particular that you
that's
enjoy?
Me. That's like picking like your favorite child.
It is. I've asked this to everyone, so we'll see your answer.
And do they answer you?
They do. I've had a couple of people say the same thing as you, but some people do say a particular breed or two at the start without any hesitation. I've had some golden retrievers. We had a German Shepherd expert on who liked German Shepherds, so there's been a few different. Yeah.
I don't think it comes down to breed. I really think it comes down to personality of the dog. I definitely have a few favorite dogs, but they'd be all different breeds and things like that. So yeah, I don't think I could answer that honestly. And I'm not going to tell you who the favorite dogs are either. That's terrible.
And let's run through some products as well. What type of products do you recommend people use to, let's say, maybe on their dog between grooms? Are there any sort of particular things that they should be looking at buying from a salon like yourself, or what should they look at?
In terms of shampoos, like the Melanie Newman is really nice. It smells really nice. It leaves the coat really nice. I use all different. So I've got some Pro Groom, some Petway. I have recently started using some of the Yves Saint Bernard, which is from Groomination. I do offer a conditioning treatment that my customers are just absolutely loving. I think doing a bit of investigating on the groomer side of things, investigating the product that you're using and how to use them properly and that kind of thing can definitely help your customers. So that grooming, that conditioning treatment that I do, it does take, so the dog has to sit in it for 15 minutes. It's like a mask. So there is a little bit of extra time and the products are a little bit more expensive, but the way that the dog comes out at the end of it, every one of my customers that has tried it now gets it done every time their dog's groomed. But they're the type of things that we do in the salon. If you really at home, depending on how often you see your groomer, you may not even need to be washing. Like I really feel like your groomer would be much happier if you were brushing your dog over washing your dog. So, the less amount of knots and matting that they come in with, the more flexibility we have around what we can or how we can groom your dog. So I think a brush, a comb, and maybe a dematting tool, depending on what type of dog you got, are probably the three main things I would recommend customers.
Now, thanks for that information, Jade. I was going to say, in your business as well, what are the full range of services that you provide? You mentioned a couple before. Is there anything else you do in particular?
So just all the same things that I guess that other guys would be doing. You have your standard washes, wash and dries, your hygiene tidies, which is where we, if you have a kind of oodle or something like that, we can just tidy up face, bottom, paws, nails, that kind of thing. And then we have the full groom. So that's when we're taking length off the coat. And then we have our D-shed services. So, your Huskies, your German Shepherds, all that kind of thing, removing that coat really makes a difference. Anyone that has a double-coated dog will understand how much they're vacuuming every day. So having a regular D-shed treatment set up with your groomer will vastly improve how much they're shedding at home. Just before now, like I have this chow chow that comes in every 4 weeks, and I did the conditioning mask on her dog last time, and she came in and couldn't stop raving about it and how much it had helped with the shedding and stuff like that, because we were just able to get so much more coat off her in here that the 4 weeks that she was at home, she said it was just amazing. So all those treatments and masks and things, I think, definitely make a difference. But yeah, they're generally the main things that we do.
It's been amazing. I've seen some of the D-shed videos online, just how much hair can come out of them. But you're right, it's such a time saver for the person, because if they're sick of vacuuming up dog hair or getting it on clothes and stuff at home, to go to that extra effort to make sure they do it on a regular basis, if you will save them time at home and all that frustration with maybe having dog hair in a clothes when they want to go out or something like that, it'd be far, far less reduced.
Yeah, definitely. And it's better for the dog, obviously, as well. So, and I mean, I'd rather us be cleaning the hair than you guys.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's amazing. I've seen a few videos of the Huskies and stuff. It's amazing how much stuff you guys get out of that D-shed. Couldn't believe the amount of stuff that comes off. It's quite entertaining to watch. But I was going to say, Jade, I know you've got a groom to get to, so thank you very much for your time today as well. Is there any advice maybe you would have for someone who might be thinking about doing what you're doing? Because you said you hesitated. Obviously, at the time, there's reasons why you would have hesitated. It's understandable. But is there any sort of advice, or what would you sort of say? What's the best thing for someone to do to learn about becoming a Jim's Dog Wash franchisee, or just joining dog grooming in general?
I think the best thing would be you can contact us directly, or you can go through, the channels like Susie or Sharon, so our franchisor or our divisional manager, and just go out. Like, you're really not going to know whether it's for you. I think there is a fantasy about dog grooming and there's a reality. So I think it's super important to go and do some trial days. I do have a funny story. So back when I was mobile, I had a guy come out with me for a trial day, and he had all these, again, like fantasies around what dog grooming was going to be. And, he was telling me all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's amazing, whatever. And it can definitely, absolutely be like that. But I had a last minute cancellation, and I picked up another job, which was a puppy. It was a Groodle puppy and had never been groomed before. So I didn't know the dog. I didn't know the customer. Anyway, we've gone to do the job, put the dog in the bath, wash the dog, no worries, put the dog on the table, and we've started blow drying. And obviously the puppy's not comfortable with these types of things and was a little bit stressed and pooped on the table. And this is not uncommon. Any groomer will tell you this is not uncommon. It happened. You've just got to clean it up, disinfect the table. But he'd sort of stepped in it as well, so we had to re-wash the dog. But the person that was out with me that day just couldn't get past it. He just threw in the towel. Like, we were actually meant to go to another couple of appointments, but he's like, nah, it's not for me. And asked me to drop him off at the bus stop. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But, at least he knows now. You know what I mean? Like, it is not uncommon for that to happen. So, yeah, it's definitely important to go and try it first, talk to people that are doing it, get the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then make your decision.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, Jade. I know you've got a busy day probably ahead of you. So thank you for taking out time for the Gyms podcast. We appreciate it. And we'll get this Silver Accor membership to you, which is 2 free nights at any Accor hotel in the world. So please use that on behalf of us. It's worth around $600, $700, I think, this. So you'll get an email in a couple of days to set that up. So on behalf of Gyms and Gyms Group, we appreciate the work you do. It's fantastic to see. They can follow you on social media. I think you're at Gyms Dogwash. Menai is your handle, I think.
Yes, it is.
I know my pronunciation is that good. But yeah, TikTok, Instagram, they can follow you on Facebook and they see all the videos there as well. And if you're in the area as well and you need someone, make sure you get in and check out Jade and your team. You do a great job, Jade. It's a really good story to hear. And you provided some really good advice and inspiration to people who maybe want to follow in your footsteps as well. So we appreciate you taking out the time today to talk with us.
No worries. Thank you as well.
No worries. Thanks, Jade. I'll leave you to it. Thank you very much. Bye. Thank you for listening to the episode of the Gyms podcast. If you want to learn more about the Gyms Group, head to gyms.net or call us on 131 546 Australia or 0800 454 654 New Zealand. And if you did like the episode as well, please make sure you leave a review or a comment or a thumbs up or a comment on the video as well. We appreciate your support. And until next episode, we hope you have a great week.